Welcome to Lunation Situation. Today we're going to talk about the full moon in Capricorn occurring July 3rd at 11:38 in the morning GMT, so adjust for your local time zone. It means that when you have a full moon, that if you are into rituals and practices, one should do it before the lunation takes place, because once it's full, we're meant to really release and surrender to the energies. And that's what a full moon is about. It is about completion, things coming to an end, things coming full circle. It's time for that surrender, for letting go because of that ending theme. And because the moon is full and round and very light, it reflects the light of the sun, who's right opposite the moon. It brings things to light. It brings things up from the darkness for us to see, to confront, to feel. Often full moons can be really emotional times. Perhaps because those hidden things come to surface. And they're meant for, revelations. They're meant to be seen and to be dealt with. It can also mean that when something comes full circle, there is a moment of harvest. So, you could celebrate some things that are coming to a finish. And usually you can look at where a lunation falls in your chart, because the house that it occurs in will kind of tell you where an ending occurs during a full moon, where perhaps there's a celebration point, or if it's a new moon, that's usually where something begins according to the topic of the house that the lunation takes place in. Now, this full moon in Capricorn takes place at 11 degrees. So you can look in your chart where 11 degrees of Capricorn falls. And that's where we are wrapping up some energies. And a full moon usually is a wrapping up of at least 6 months of a time frame. And that is when the new moon in Capricorn occurred 6 months prior, which means in January of this year. So something that started in January of 2023 with this full moon in Capricorn comes to an ending cycle, a fruition. It becomes full, complete. Well, what is Capricorn about? Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac, and it represents the house that we call the MC, or the midheaven. So Capricorn stands for that top of the chart. It means top of the mountain. It is a mountain goat or a sea goat. And it means that it will climb heights, because Capricorn is about accomplishment. It is about reaching really high, because you want to be really ambitious and make something happen. Now, Capricorn rules the material world, so this is usually about career or other prestigious things that we find important in this material world. So it's about ruling all those material manifestations. It can be money, business, whatever you find to be an accomplishment. So Capricorn is very much about success, and then the road to it. It's very dedicated. It's very devoted to its goals. It's very hardworking, and it is not afraid of some setbacks. It's very it's eager to learn from its mistakes. It continuously keeps improving. And that's why Capricorn is also very much about strategy. It is the sign that also represents military. So you can tell from that strategy and strategizing, having a plan, structures and, stuff like that is really important and relevant for this full moon. So what was your plan back in January? And is there something wrapping up here? Or do you need to reassess and reevaluate your plans, your goals? What does success mean to you? And how are you willing, or, have you done enough to strive for those goals that you have? It's why the 10th house and Capricorn is very much about legacy, whatever you want to leave behind in this world. You want to leave your mark somewhere. So this is a moment where we can reflect on that too. Like, what is that mark that you want to leave behind in this world? But to me, it is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is very much about boundaries, structures, very much about the material world again, planning, hardworking. With Capricorn and Saturn, there has to be effort. Like, you have to give it your all, and the other side of it that is often overlooked with specifically Saturn, but I think therefore also with Capricorn, is that actually it's also about some non-material things. And that is that it's also about integrity. It has to be pure, and it has to come from yeah, it's about structures, and it's also sometimes about limitations and hurdles, but it's also about letting go of a lot of the structures, and finding your own sense of self within everything. Like, leaving a mark means that you are also original, right? There's something about you that's differentiating from other people. And that's why I find that Saturn, and thus Capricorn, is also about authenticity. It's usually that you have to let go of the society norms and societal cultural standards and find your own way of success and accomplishment, and how you can contribute, you yourself, to what you find to be successful and important. Saturn, and again, therefore, Capricorn, is very much about mastery. So it's about like fully understanding, fully being equipped, and like almost a talent, but one you really use or learn, it's about having that sort of full control on a topic, or maybe it is a business venture, but is it truly something that is you, represents you, or is it because somebody told you that was that would lead to success, or that would give you financial benefits, right? So there is an aspect to Saturn and Capricorn that tells us that you should find what's really sort of natural to who you are, and how there are things about you specifically that you can contribute, that is different from others, right? So Saturn is very much about finding that inner integrity, meaning your own authentic voice and beingness, and having tremendous self-respect because of it, because you need to know who you are so that you stand strong within that, right? Within yourself. So the element of respect is really important, I find, with Capricorn too. So self-respect, and then respect in general. So that's why it's also very much about hierarchy usually, you know. Capricorn represents the top, which means, you know, leaders, businessmen or women, CEOs, managers, you know, as I said, military men or women. It's very organized. Capricorn is very organized. So maybe this is also a moment like, get your shit together and like reassess how you can organize things better, or where you lack some boundaries in your life. Where are you doing too much, taking upon yourself too much, you know, or where do you need to just keep those boundaries strict and like be able to say no to things as well. So respect in general, and then self-respect is really, really, really important here too. So Capricorn also represents obligations, right? Responsibility. It's a very disciplined sign. It's about overcoming a lot and getting better at what you do, which is part of being able to strategize, right? Seeing where you can work on your skills or improve in some kind of way. So it's also very much about leadership, directing, about control, and very much maturity, right? I find it's the old man, the grandpa energy that Capricorn kind of has. As I said, it's about order. It's about, you know, Capricorn and Saturn are very serious energies. It's why it can be interpreted as some colder energy, because it's more about those heavy elements of life, you know, discipline, responsibility, seriousness, maturity. It's not usually, you know, it's the more heavyweight topics, right? It's the more evolved. It's not so light, right? You know, but they take great care of things and they're like master builders. So you know, if you want success, follow a Capricorn. They know the way. So here we know that these, yeah, maybe less fun topics are very important for success, but not just in the material world. There are just a lot of benefits to discipline, responsibility. It takes us really far, and these concepts we need to really, really learn. And I feel that the more we continue in this modern society, thanks to our telephones and such, the more it seems that society is lacking discipline and responsibility, right? And even if, for instance, I'm very much about healing and overcoming, overcoming is a very Capricorn word, but healing is very much about responsibility and discipline, you know, undoing programs and then reprogramming your thoughts, your beliefs, and all that actually is a very Capricorn trait. It's that Capricorn character. So if you want to make something happen, if you want success in whatever area in life it is, even if it's healing or, you know, whatever kind of improvement you care for, it will usually require discipline, responsibility, and a good doses of maturity, right? And those are Capricorn things. So again, you can look at the house where 11 degrees of Capricorn falls for you. And then apply just these 3 words to understand where, you know, perhaps you're either good at or need to improve discipline, responsibility, and maturity, and that the goal actually is mastery, right? And just being really true to who you are is the greatest way to get there, because you do not want success for the sake of it. You do want something that's really near and dear to your heart, that's really near and dear to who you are, because only then will you really feel fulfilled with the success you have, right? So let's look at the chart and what it is saying to us. Well, first of all, of course, because if it's a full moon, then we have an opposition, right? The sun is opposite the moon in the sign of the Crab, and Mercury is next to it. So we have here a conjunction. It means that our minds, our mindset is indeed very much involved with these topics, with these Capricorn topics, albeit it's at the opposite side, which means that our mind is actually pretty sensitive, and it will most likely be incredibly intuitive and pick up on like emotions, feelings, and undercurrents. It could be very much about family, the home, and safety, with, you know, Mercury being in the sign of the Crab. So, you know, even though the moon is very much, you know, about these Capricorn themes of discipline, you know, hard work, a little bit colder, a little bit more about planning and ambition and all that. On the opposite side, the sun and Mercury is pulling us more into our emotions, more into the home, more into the self. And here perhaps we could also have a little bit of triggers going on about childhood wounding. So, you know, full moons are always a sensitive time, and with the sun and Mercury being in the Crab, and actually kind of very big square, but still squaring Chiron, these are triggers. So, you know, you could shed a few tears here, and you could think about your childhood and how that's affecting you, and how that's affecting your plans, and how it's affecting, you know, what you want to accomplish, or you know, perhaps the lack of accomplishment, or however you view that. So there is some subconscious things going on here that might bubble up because this is a full moon. So they might come to the surface for us to look at, and, you know, it can sometimes be painful. But if you want to release it and you want to let it go, this is an excellent time with this full moon, right? So what I have found is that the best way is to recognize, you know, if something has been holding you back in whatever you find success to be, or an accomplishment, or a plan, or a strategy to be, then just view that blockage, or the root of the cause of the problem, right? And accept it for what it is. You know, if Capricorn is very much about having to do a lot on your own, and you know, it's a bit of the loner energy there, because as they say, you know, the top is lonely, right? Getting to the top is a road not many can take. It's a bit of a lonely road. So because Capricorn is very much about, I'll just do it because I know I will do it the best way, they just do it themselves, right? And that obviously having to do everything by yourself, and, finding this strength within yourself continuously, can lead to pessimism and depression. And these things can come up during this full moon where you'd be like, wow, I've done everything by myself, and then it was such a hard road, or I didn't have the right examples growing up, and therefore XYZ, right? Capricorn is also very much about the father energy. So maybe we're looking at our father male roles that, held us back from living the life you want, or stuff like that. Things can come up where you can feel that it held you back in some kind of way. And I think with Capricorn, as I said, it's a great trait to have a great sense of responsibility, and that will take you out of most situations. So even if you didn't have the greatest role model, even if nobody showed you the way, or you had to do a lot on your own, be grateful for the power, the strength that you have within yourself, and that it's a proof that you are capable of so much. And the only thing is that I would say it doesn't have to be alone, right? That's a bit of a choice. And maybe with the Sun and Mercury in the sign of the Crab, which is just like Capricorn, actually these signs are about family, right? At the end of the day. So, find ways of creating a family in, what feels like a family to you. And, the feeling that you have to do everything on your own is not correct. It's a bit of a program. It's a subconscious program that can be a result of childhood trauma, So I guess what a Capricorn energy would need to learn is to ask for help and to delegate, because it's a leader, it's a manager, so you don't have to do everything yourself. Create a team around you, if it's a team of friends or a small family or whatever makes you feel at home and comfortable in a way too. So that's that. The moon is trining Jupiter, who's in Taurus, which is a really lovely thing. So it's expanding all of these themes of this lunation. And it's just bringing a really nice flow of energy, an inspiring energy as well, where we're feeling quite motivated. And we're very much thinking about abundance and mastery and building a reality that feels really good to us. So there are some really nice opportunities with this full moon. So it's not only about letting go, but I would mostly say it's about assessing what you could improve on what you're building. The moon is also sextiling its ruler, Saturn, who is retrograde, and exactly at 7 degrees of Pisces. I have to stand still for a second here because I find it fascinating that we have a Capricorn full moon, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is at 7 degrees exact. We are in a 7-year numerologically. So if you add the 2, another 2 in 2023, and then the 3, 2, 2, 3, you have 7, right? It adds to 7. So we are in a 7-year, and that means it is a very spiritual year. It's a very intuitive year. It's about wisdom and a bit of the magic of life. So it is a very Neptunian year, the 7, and Saturn is in the sign of Neptune, Pisces. So 7 here is pretty significant. We are getting a lot of wisdom, which is enhanced because Saturn and Capricorn are also very much wise energies, okay? The wisdom from the ruler of Saturn comes from being in Pisces is the sign of intuition. So we have a wealth of information and within, and we need to really tap into that, especially in this year that represents 7. So Saturn is helping this lunation by finding strength, finding maturity within your emotional world, finding strength, as I said, within your intuitive world. So the wealth of wisdom and information that's in your energetic field. And maybe also the strength of connecting your power, which is sometimes limited, to the greater source, divine, universe, whatever you want to, God, whatever fits your belief system. But, you know, Pisces, where Saturn is, the 7-year that we're in, is very spiritual, right? So we need to evolve our spiritual self. We need to be able to tap into our higher self, our soul. We need to be able to listen to these great intuitive messages. And Saturn here is saying we need to master that, and it will really, really help our accomplishments, our success, and whatever we care to build or whatever we want to leave as a legacy in this world, right? So it's interesting that this lunation is being helped by both Jupiter and Saturn, and these are both our massive gas giants, and they are also the gateway planets. Saturn and Jupiter are right in the middle. So they are like the gateway planets, keeping us in check and making sure that we're ready for the expansion that comes after the personal planets, which means that to enter the realm of a higher consciousness, we need to first make sure to understand who we are. We need to understand our values. We need to understand our strengths. We need to master who we are. And then, you know, when there's a great foundation, we can expand upon that. You know, we're in a massive evolutionary moment in time, truly. Things are changing really fast, as you've noticed, collectively. You know, Saturn and Jupiter here are giving us, you know, a green light because they're helping us in this lunation. It's a sextile and a trine, which are positive aspects. So perhaps they are bringing in the understandings of, you know, that strength the solid foundation that is within us. And maybe with this lunation being a full moon, we reap the fruits of our hard labor, of having worked on ourselves, a solid foundation within, knowing who we are, knowing really well what we want in this life. And then now we have a plan. Like with this full moon, we have a plan and we know what we want, where we want to go. There are two ways to go about it. If your faith is really strong and you believe the full moon element, this could be a time where you just surrender. If you know that you've done all that you can for whatever it is that you want, and you don't know what else you could do, but you have great faith and a great spiritual soul connection to a bigger power, to source, then you can surrender and go with the flow and trust that it will bring you to the right situations. And when you feel intuitively like, this is it, that's where you start taking action again, right? But sometimes you're out of being able to take actions because you've done so much and like there's not something else you could do anymore. But if that's not the case, and there's still work to do and there's still action to take, then, this full moon perhaps will give you the ability or the plan to just do it, right? So either there will be greater motivation and ambition to strive higher and like take action, or surrender and work with the universe so that it's up to you how much control you want to have. But in my own experience, a lot of control is not that great because you need to be able to adjust to whatever occurs on the path. All in all, I guess these gas giants, these gateway planets, are helping us with this lunation situation to imagine a new kind of reality. Imagine spiritual success and how that will look in this tangible material reality, and how that is the new foundation to work with the higher dimensions or higher consciousness of the planets that follow the gateway planets, which is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. As I said, a full moon is about endings, right? And with this lunation, something really big is ending. This is the last lunation. This full moon is the last moment that we find the North Node being in Taurus and the South Node being in Scorpio. So after this lunation, the nodes are changing signs. The North Node has been in Taurus for the last 18 months. Since the beginning of 2022. And we're wrapping up that cycle. And this lunation is a big part of wrapping up that 18-month cycle. So in these 18 months, the North Node has shown us collectively that we need to simplify our lives and that we need to live a more natural life, and how valuable that is, and also how valuable Mother Nature is, how important it is to be nearer connected to nature. It has shown us what our values are, which means that it has been showing us these last 18 months of what is really important, you know, what truly matters, and what truly matters to you. You know, what do you consider to be valuable? What is worth or worthy? And if you've allowed it to, it has worked strongly on creating a greater sense of self-worth, a greater sense of the values that you have, and finding a new sense of reality. What kind of reality you want to live in, what kind of reality you want to build. And it's all connected to your, you know, what you find valuable and worthy, right? So the North Node in Taurus has been showing us also that, you know, it's important to feel good about what you do, where you are. It's important to have safety and comfort. It's important to have pleasure in your life, to find sensuality in your life, you know, to taste, to touch, to feel, to, you know, these textures of nature. It has also, I think, worked strongly on our sense of money, finances, economy, and how important or not it is. And it has really been reworking that. So the North Node is leaving Taurus. And this is the last moment, last lunation that we will see. It's still being, you know, at 0 degrees of Taurus. So this full moon is a wrapping up of that energy too. And, you know, the reflection of it, you know, what have you learned? As an aspect, it is not trining, but Capricorn and Taurus energies, you know, naturally work very well together because they're both earth signs. So this lunation has a great relationship with the North Node. I feel that the reflection element of this full moon, of, you know, reassessing our goals and reassessing the kind of reality we want to live, is related to what we've been learning over the last 18 months. And meaning that we need to consider a more simple, true, natural, enjoyable life, and that it needs to be incorporated into that success image. So this lunation is another point where the tension is very much increasing again with the nodes and Pluto. Now, Pluto has been squaring the nodes since the lunation in March, 21st of March, which means, you know, 4 months, give or take. So Pluto has been working with our purpose in life, our great goals. You know, Pluto has been making sure that we are understanding our strength, that we see the hidden, the dark, that we bring it to light, that we transform the ugly, that we see the manipulations, that we just see what is going on. And Pluto is bringing in the transparency, the truth, and it is doing that to transform it, to alchemize those energies. So just like with traumas, as I said, you know, Pluto is very much related to traumas. When you want to heal something, as I explained earlier in this video, one needs to just look at things the way they are. And that's very Pluto. It's just looking at the ugly, the smelly, the horrible, and just looking at it the way it is. If it's ugly, it's ugly, you know? If it's painful, it's painful. You do not need to make anything else of it. You just need to see it for what it is. And there is great transformational power in that. It's like, the word we use is accepting, although I think some people might have a difficulty with that word. It's not that you're saying it's okay, but it's more like just seeing it for what it is acceptance. As I said, if it's ugly, that's acceptance, that it's ugly. Often we downplay it or something like that, you know, no, it's not like that, and like, but that person wasn't that bad, or blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes it's really painful to face pain, right? But Pluto facing off with these nodes for a couple of months this year is a very strong energy. And it's increasing. So the nodes are at 0 degrees. Pluto is going retrograde, is now at 29 degrees of Capricorn, which is actually a critical degree point. And I've made a video about Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees, which is really significant. It's going to go back to the 29 degree point in, I think later this year and in the beginning of 2024. So it's going to be a video where you can come back to. I will link it below this video if you want to watch it. Because as I said, it's going to come up again. But currently, that's the vibe we're in. We're at 29 degrees of Capricorn with this lunation. It's a bit of a volatile degree. It's, you know, it could potentially be a very destructive degree, especially with Pluto involved. So what are the Capricorn themes? Again, it's about, you know, rules, regulations, top hierarchy, elites, managers, CEOs, businessmen, you know, government, systems of law, you know, financial systems, political systems, all these systems and leaders are at risk when Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn specifically. And that's where he is now. And this is creating a T-square to the nodes. And the T-square is gonna go exact between this lunation and the next. So Pluto is having a critical moment here. And it's reminding us of the manipulation, the control, the ugliness, the abuse, that has been going on within these systems or leadership positions. And Pluto will show that to us because it's a T-square. It will force the truth to come out. And I found it very significant that this year Pluto would be squaring the nodes for many months. So 2023, this is our theme. Pluto is squaring the nodes for months. It's very significant. It means, as I said, that Pluto is excavating, bringing up all the dirt, all the lies, all the secrets, all the hidden, all that was going on beneath the surface. And now it's being faced. We have to. Pluto is forcing it. And you know, it can make things crumble because it's about death and endings. So you know, the tension is high within this lunation regarding this T-square to Pluto. But the next lunation, it's going to be exact 29, 29, 29 degrees. So the next lunation is pretty tough regarding this T-square to Pluto that has been going on for months. But because this is a full moon and it naturally represents endings and, you know, dying off of cycles, it's related to this Pluto theme. So I feel that since it's also a full moon in Capricorn, which kind of rules this T-square, wouldn't be surprised if something crumbles regarding systems or leadership. So there's that. And if it isn't necessarily a crumbling, it's in the sense that some truths might come out and they will not be comfortable. They will be really hard stuff to face. But this is a general energy, so it's not only regarding the systems and leaderships, it's also about us. You know, are there manipulations or controls that is withholding you from living a truer, more worthy, full, more valuable life? What is holding you back? Or is there anybody else holding you back from fulfilling your life's purpose? And how can you face that own darkness and ugliness and perhaps your own lies? But I don't mean in the sense that you're a liar, but in the sense that you maybe have believed in things that were lies. For instance, that you're not worthy or that you're not important. These are lies. Or that you're not enough, or that you're not successful. To who? To what? You decide that, right? And if there is a goal or a plan or something you want to achieve, then the Capricorn moon is telling you, this is what you need to do. This is the kind of action you can take to get yourself on that trajectory, right? This full moon, for sure, as I said, gives us the ability to take responsibility over our own lives. And with discipline, we are able to master our own life. And some things, big things, might come up during this full moon that we need to face, that we need to process. It can be really raw and painful. But the beautiful part about Pluto is that it's about transformation, and every death is the beginning of a new, right? So it's regeneration. So the goal of this tension of Pluto is that we need to find the power within ourselves, the power that we are. And I feel that's naturally linked to the Capricorn and Saturn themes too. You know, where mastering this material world requires us to have the power within to know who you are and what you want to contribute. And that if you've done all the work that is required, if you've done all that you can, then you could really have some gifts coming in this full moon as well. Because the ruler, Saturn, is sextiling the moon. And Saturn gives out gifts if you've done the work. And since it's trining Jupiter, it will give you the luck and the fortune and the abundance that you need. So there's a bit of a tough kick-ass taste to this full moon, but then also really beautiful advantages, like really beautiful presence. And this is a really important part of this journey. This is a great moment in time to look at what needs to be eliminated in your life, to reassess the whole situation, because it's not paying off or it's not working. And that's, we can fully release. We can release what is holding us back, whatever that is, if it's a belief or a habit or, you know, a thought or a subconscious program given through our parents or society, whatever it is. Reassess if there are blockages on your path to success. And the success is very original. It's your success. You know, you decide how that looks for you. And there are great benefits, right, to this full moon. So I hope you reap the benefits. And if there are some wonderful Saturnian, Jupiterian gifts coming up for you, please write down in the comments. I'd love to know what this full moon brings for you. So yeah, enjoy this time, let go, release, surrender, and I will see you in the next lunation, which is the new moon in the sign of the Crab, where there's a big tension, as I said, between Pluto and then the nodes, which will be in new signs, Aries and Libra. So it's a pretty interesting time we're going to enter after this lunation. So enjoy, take your rest. It might get more wild after this full moon. Bye.